to move on to the reading for today from our book, Something You Forgot Along the Way, Stories of Wisdom and Learning by Kentetsu Takamori Sensei. Today's story is number 6, page 15, Living for a Great Desire, Jenner and Smallpox. Edward Jenner, 1749 to 1823, is famous for saving mankind from smallpox. His first love was natural history, and he devoted himself to the study of birds. On learning about the centuries-old scourge of smallpox, he formed a great desire to end the suffering caused by the dread disease. Jenner became fascinated by anecdotal evidence that men and women who contracted cowpox from milking dairy cows never came down with smallpox. He carefully gathered a large body of such evidence and then went to London, where he became a pupil of John Hunter and sought his advice. Encouraged by the great doctor to pursue his dream, he performed many experiments and observed the results with the greatest of care. His confidence grew. His breakthrough came on May 14, 1796, when he took pus from the hands of Sarah Nelms, a milkmaid infected with cowpox, and deposited it in scratches on the arms of an 8-year-old boy named James Phipps. This was the first ever case of what we now call vaccination. Once Jenner had assembled rock-hard evidence of the efficacy of the treatment, he published his findings and stirred up a storm of criticism. Some of his opponents claimed that people inoculated with cowpox would grow horns. Jenner responded calmly and patiently to all protests, sparing no effort to improve the welfare of society and mankind. In the 19th century alone, tens of millions of lives were saved. Finally, in 1979, the World Health Organization declared smallpox officially eradicated from the planet. Benefactors of mankind, whose great deeds earned them a place in history, are inevitably motivated by an intense desire to see their vision come true, and they make ceaseless efforts toward that end, come what may. So this is today's story, and yeah, it's very self-explanatory, but we have 2 minutes to go over the story. Yeah, I think this story, as the title said, Living for a Great Desire, is encouraging us to find our life's greatest purpose, which is ultimately to liberate ourselves and other people from suffering. Yeah, so all the struggles we go through life, every suffering we experience, once we find out what it was all about, if it leads us to a happiness or liberation from suffering, then when we look back, we're like, wow, I'm so glad that I came this far. The path was very difficult, but I'm so happy I persevered. I endured all those hardships. It was worthwhile. If we can say that, then all the hardships we went through becomes very meaningful. So we have to make sure, what is our life's greatest purpose? And to live for such a great desire to liberate ourselves and others from suffering. So that gives us motivation every day to keep going and to interpret everything positively. Also, like today's phrase that they said, however trifling a task may be, let's tend to it with our heart and soul. So there are no chores in everyday life that we do that is inconsequential. So it has an impact in our life. So we can pour our mind and soul into it as we go about everyday chores. So that's the power of living for a great desire, especially if it's a desire that is for everybody's happiness, for the greater good. So, good job, everyone, for being here, dedicating this time for our mental health and spiritual support. So, today is Wednesday. We're going to have the Karma Lab at 5 p.m. Pacific time by Yuichi. And yeah, have a beautiful Wednesday, everyone. Bye bye. Thank you.
Beta,
Yes.
can you email me the link for the